Yo, it's Mac from the Everyday Nobody's podcast. I know you see the title, so let's get straight to it. No Jumper is failing, and I think I know the reason why now. And it's not for the simple stuff that everybody makes it out to be. It's not because Adam is some culture vulture or some slave master, blah, blah, blah. It has nothing to do with that. And honestly, I'm tired of hearing that take because that's a very lazy take. Because let's be real, culture vultures are doing great all the time. So why is No Jumper not doing great? I'll tell you the real reason. The real reason why No Jumper is failing is because Adam 22 is cheap. Stay with me. I got all the evidence. So Adam 22, he purchased a $4 million building, right? That's not cheap. Okay, I don't want to make it seem like that's nothing because that's a lot of money. But if you've ever purchased a property, you know, you probably put 20% down, like realistically. So whatever 20% of $4 million is, that's what he did put down, and then he pays mortgage and interest and all that stuff. So that's not where the cheapness comes in. Where it comes in is the way he produces his content. What he does in that building is what makes him cheap. So in the same building where he has gang members, pimps, drug dealers, prostitutes, failed rappers, in that same building, he's also filming adult content. That's cheap. Not only is the content cheap to produce, but it's cheap degeneracy. It's just everything about it is cheap. Costs nothing to film, costs nothing to consume. Then to get the most out of all this cheap labor from Plug Talk, he would send them out into his podcast space and have them get screamed at by a pimp for an hour.
I'm done talking to a bum.
Look, I'm gonna tell you when I tell you a bum. You a bum. You a bum. You been a bum, bro.
And I would be surprised if these women got paid. Adam and Lena already admitted on Vlad TV that Plug Talk makes more money than No Jumper. And it's simply because it is very, very low overhead.
If you look at both your careers individually, who's made more money?
I think me.
You?
I think me.
No, I think me for sure. Like, for sure. I mean, I have less overhead and I made a lot of money. Like, I had only before the pandemic, and then the pandemic happened, and I thought my money was going to go down. I was pregnant February 2020, and everything was going up because everyone had those checks to spend at home. And then I did the thing with Jason, and that made millions. And I have like one employee, you know, so.
Now let's get to the advertisements. Fashion Nova, cheap clothes. Blue Chew, cheap ads. Everything 420, cheap smoking material. Like everything he does is just low budget and cheap. Now you got to ask yourself, why would a company that has 4.9 million subscribers not have all of the big advertisements that a lot of these other people have? Well, the brand is cheap. Like, what self-respecting large company will want to align themselves with somebody who has pimps, prostitutes, bangers, people smoking on camera, popping pills on camera? It's bangers, buzzballs, and bitches. Who want to align themselves with that? Only cheap advertisers or somebody who's very desperate. Now let's talk about No Jumper hiring practices. Also cheap. Like, everybody's not under a contract that works for No Jumper. If you pay attention, like Flacco, Sharp, Almighty Suspect, Adam, Lush, they've all explained that they were under contract. They were getting paid like they had a salary. But pay attention to everybody else. Go back to about a month ago. You remember there's a King Pill incident where King Pill actually on camera tried to fight Adam, or at least acted like he was trying to fight Adam, right? What was King Pill so mad about? He wanted to get paid the day of because he needed gas money to get back to wherever he lived, right? What was that payment supposed to be? $200. Now that's crazy when you're talking about a platform that's going to cut this up into 1 million clips, right? They have so much content going on there. So $200 for a host, that's crazy. And that's because King Pill was not under contract. You remember, Adam was explaining, hey, I normally give people a chance to audition. If the audience gravitates to them, then we'll talk contracts. So 200 is what King Pill was ready to fight for. So 200 is probably what everybody else is getting that's not under contract. That's cheap. Now pay attention to how the operation is run. So you have the contracted people. They do the No Jumper show, which is Tuesday, Thursday, and then there's the Whack and Adam show on Sunday, right? Every other day, it's the news show. In the news show, that's where people go to audition. So you'll have like 2 or 3 mainstays. So it may be Flacco as like the moderator, or Almighty, or Lush, and then sometimes even Adam. They'll be on the couch for the news show, at least one. And then it'll just be a bunch of randoms. And a bunch of these randoms, they're auditioning. Now, if you're auditioning, you're either not getting paid at all, or you're probably getting paid that funky little $200 because Adam is cheap. That's how he stays afloat. He basically keeps these people in the farm league or the G League, however you want to look at it. He keeps them there and just keeps shuffling them around so he never has to give a contract. And that way he can pay them either nothing or little to nothing to line his pockets. And that's actually what Adam is looking for. Like, everybody that comes on his platform, if they're not under contract, they're a failed rapper, failed gang member, failed pimp, failed whatever. Like, this is literally what he does. He finds people who are just happy to be here, and then he puts them on camera. And he says, hey, you can audition. We'll see what you could do. And they'll do anything to be on camera. They will completely embarrass themselves, say the stupidest stuff, even risk going to prison so they can stay on camera. And Adam has to pay them nothing. Yeah, just pay attention. Anytime he hires somebody, it's never a good podcaster that was already a good podcaster prior. It's always some random what the was that. Along with his cheap hiring practices, Adam's whole mindset is cheap. Because his thought process is, what can we do to go viral, opposed to what can we do to curate an actual good show? Like, pay attention. A lot of the biggest names were the most outrageous characters. They're idiots. Let's walk through it. Adam hired Almighty Suspect. Failed rapper. Not a good podcaster. Argues all the time, but he would go viral because he would argue. He didn't punch the kid in the face. He didn't spit on people. He didn't pull out a knife. He just got out of the jail, but he kept going viral. So Adam kept him around. Then Adam had Shark. Not because he's a good podcaster, but because he went viral for screaming at whores. Like, that's all he did. And Adam saw, oh, okay, there's a lot of motion with this. Let's keep him. But once again, it's not because he's a good podcaster. Where is Sharp now? He won't set foot inside of No Jumper. He's back in Vegas or something. Then Adam hired Crip Mac, one of the biggest idiots ever on the internet. Not because he's a good podcaster, but because he goes viral. Fi Crip. That's why he hired him, because he's a buffoon who can go viral. Where's Crip Mac right now? In jail. Then he went and got Brick Baby.
Keep on running content on my name, putting Kill Squad in the street. Nigga, 6-0. Y'all.
Another guy, not a good podcaster, but just a buffoon who's willing to crash out and say anything on camera. Adam kept him around because he kept going viral. But he's not a good podcaster. He became decent, though. I'll give him that. He stopped on 6, talking like that. He definitely got better, but let's be very clear. He was not a good podcaster. I don't even think he was a podcaster at all. He was a failed rapper, but he kept going viral. So Adam kept him around. Then we get 4 extras. The biggest retard of all of them. Okay, since 4 Extra had been at No Jumper, he had already been to jail twice while he was hired on the show. Then he gets out, 4th of July, he blows his hand off with a firework. Once again, not a good podcaster. Actually, the worst podcaster. All he does is yell and slam on the table. Like, it was entertaining in the beginning, but like, come on. Just cheap content. Like, just awful. But he kept going viral. So Adam kept him around. Now he won't set foot in there because Adam has allowed too many people to come talk behind his back while his hand is blown off. So then while 4 Extras is locked up, Adam says, damn, we run it dry. Let me go get somebody who's just as stupid as 4 Extra. Maybe a little less because he understands that as content, but he go gets King Pill.
Hell yeah. Can we explain the props that you got here first?
Oh, shit. We got some King Pill, Diddy oil, booty oil. You can put this on your fried chicken. You can put this on one of your bitches. You dig what I'm saying?
And you just applied that in the bathroom,
man,
right?
I had to. I had to come out like a motherfucking model. You dig what I'm saying?
King Pill is shirtless on the podcast, rubbing baby oil all over himself with a bag full of Tylenol, trying to act like he's a drug addict because that's cool, right? Let's promote that I'm King Pill. I'm a junkie. That's who Adam hired. Once again, not because he's a good podcaster, but because he's going viral. Then to top everything off, Adam gets 607 Unc. Now, 607 Unc, he has a lot of motion. He's not just going viral. He actually does have a lot of motion. But this is one of the stupidest human beings I've ever seen. I hate looking at him because he looks like a germ. Like, I hate looking at 607 Unc. But once again, not a good podcaster. But he knows how to go viral. So Adam kept him around. Now he's gone because 4 Extra scared him.
I mean like that. You see what I'm saying? I can't say nothing. Don't do that, cuz. Don't say what see what I'm saying? I didn't know what the fuck. You see what I'm saying? Don't do that. See what I'm saying? My bad, gang. He didn't mean it like that. My bad.
And then in a point of desperation, what does Adam do? He says, hey, let's do like a 6-hour no jumper stream. And let's see if we can find the biggest monkey in the jungle in LA to come audition for No Jumper. And I mean, I guess they found a few people, but we know what it is. The intent was to find somebody that can go viral. He got a few prospects. We'll see what comes of it, but it's cheap. Like, it's crazy because even though I'm not a huge fan of Defiant Brandon, what he did say made a lot of sense. Called Adam and he said, you know, Adam, you really have a hiring problem because everybody that you hire either goes to jail or gets their hand blown off. And we know he said that out of spite because his little feelings are hurt over that little boxing match. But he is right. A lot of these people go to jail. Adam is horrible with hiring because he's not hiring anybody who actually speaks on a mic for a living or anybody who loves the podcast game, willing to do research, and he's not curating anything. See, back in the day when he had AD and T-Rail, Adam was on that podcast with him. He gave them credibility. The fans gravitated to them. And then he was able to push them into their own show. And then he still had the No Jumper show. Same thing with House Phone. You know, they were all together. And then he was able to push them into Disconnected. But now he's just like, okay, let's just throw him in the Farm League, put him on the No Jumper news show, and let's just see what happens. Worst case, I still have content and I don't got to pay nobody. It's cheap. Come on, it's cheap. And when all else fails, when Adam can't find another buffoon to act a damn fool on camera, what he'll do is he'll say, all right, well, let's try to get these cast members to feud. Adam loves to say, you know, I wish I could get you guys in a room to talk together. And it's always like feuding gang members or just people who we know don't get along. And then he'd be shocked when something bad happens, when people run into each other and altercations happen. That's when he wants to close up shop and talk to his lawyers because he's scared now. But he creates this environment because when he can't find somebody that can instantly go viral, he knows the next thing he can do is let's create tension between the cast members. You think I'm lying? Let's talk about it. Adam and 607 Unc, they were both talking about the Carrot situation, right? 607 Unc is openly calling 4 Extra homosexual while he's in jail. So, of course, when 4 Extra gets out, he's going to want to see 607 Unc. What does Adam and Josh do? They say, hey, let's put them on a podcast together. How did you think that was going to go? Even if 607 Unc never said what he said, they're from rival gangs anyway. And you didn't tell 4 Extra that. You just put him in there and you wonder why 4 Extra was about to choke him out. And 607 Unc had to run to Texas to get away from the situation. Aunt Hefe, King Pill. Now, nobody had even heard the King Pill song where he was dissing Aunt Hefe's gang. Adam brings it up. Hey, how do you feel about sitting next to King Pill who just dissed your gang in a song? And then that whole debacle happens. Defiant Brandon, Almighty Suspect. What happened with them? Their very first interaction, they was literally cursing each other out about to fight and talking about fighting on camera during the news show. It was clearly tension. What does Adam do? He says, hey, let's get them back together and let's have them do another show together. What happens? Almighty spits on Brandon. Almighty pulls a knife out on Brandon. Why did that happen? Because Adam knows if I can't get a viral moment, I can manufacture a viral moment by just putting two people that I know don't get along in the same room. Everybody's practically auditioning anyway. So if they know hey, I can keep my job by going viral. That's what they're going to do. They're going to do anything for the views. And that's because that's the culture. That's the nature of No Jumper. Even when Adam tries to say, well, I wasn't in charge of scheduling that day. No, you weren't. But you created this atmosphere where all you got to do is be a nutcase and you can get on camera. All these people want is a look. So why not go to a platform with 4.9 million subscribers to get a look? It's cheap. That's why No Jumper doesn't get the respect as a hip hop platform. Every other platform gets on this list or gets on these lists as power rankings and all that stuff. They're always there. You see Joe Budden, you see Academics, you see Vlad. Sometimes you may see Say Cheese, but they get on these lists because they're actually hip hop platform, and No Jumper is masquerading as a hip hop platform, but it's really just a cesspool of gang members and hoes. Like that's really all No Jumper is. Yet he wonders why nobody will respect him. I've heard Flacco. I mess with Flacco too, but he's trying to understand how Adam doesn't make these lists. And it's like, well, look at the content y'all put out. Y'all don't qualify. Full circle moment. When Adam and Joe Budden had their little beef, right? First thing Adam said was, Joe Budden doesn't know how to be a boss, right? So he had lost all those other podcasts. He had the 2 female podcasts that he lost. One because he gave an inappropriate hug or whatever happened. And then the other one, contract disputes, right? Then you look at what happened with Adam, where he lost all his cast. And Joe Budden was thumbing his nose in his face because he was like, see, it doesn't feel good. When you lose cast members and everybody's coming to kick your back in, it doesn't feel good because this is a part of business and it happens. But pay attention to what Joe is doing opposed to what Adam's doing. Like I said, when Adam was really good, he was curating. He didn't just say, hey, let's just throw a bunch of people on the news show and let's see what happens. He helped AD with his style of podcasting. When AD was slipping, he was like, hey, you got to stop doing this. You're too repetitive. You're doing this too much. You have a tick. With T-Rail, he's like, you're a little too overly opinionated. How about you actually watch some game film? He was doing that stuff, right? Now let's look at Joe. Joe went, he had Marissa. It was Marissa and Rory, right? Got rid of her. Then he brought in Maul. Okay. Then once he got Maul, you start to hear Parks, because Parks used to just be the engineer. Then you start to hear his voice, right? So boom, Rory and Maul leave. That's when the fall happens, right? He gets Ish and Ice. He curates that for like 2 years. Then he gets Queen's Flip and Melissa Ford. Curates that for about 2 years. Then he auditions J1. It didn't work out. He let him go. He brings in Imani. Now he has Imani. Boom, that works. Okay, now let's bring in Mark Lamont Hill. Boom, that works out. Now, okay, let's let Ian have a show. So now they have the Ian and Mark show. You see what I'm saying? So he's not just saying, hey, let's just throw a bunch of shit at the wall. He's like, okay, let's curate this. Let me actually be on these shows with these people so my fans and my audience can learn to love these people. And then now we have another show. And that's the difference. And that's why Adam will never be respected if he keeps continuing to do all this cheap shit. Like a viral moment is temporary. It's going to go away. And if your viral moment ain't even about hip hop, then you don't need to be worried about no list. You need to worry about not getting sued. But hey, what do I know? I'm just an everyday nobody. Tell me what you think in the comments. Am I on to something? Am I tripping? Or does it seem like any corner that Adam can cut, he takes it? Therefore, that's why he will do 200,000 views on videos, yet he has 4.9 million subscribers. It just doesn't add up. So tell me if I'm tripping. Put it in the comments, like and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're trying to get to that 1,000 subs. I'm out. Peace.